Hi trackies, welcome back to another video. Please remember to smash that subscribe button, hit the like button as well. That's how the video gets to the YouTube algorithm. Share the video if you care. I hope y'all care, so share, and yes, please sound off in the comment section below. So the GYULAI ISTVÁN Memorial happening Budapest, Hungary on the 12th, men's 100 meters, Jamaica. I am excited, of course, when our Jamaicans are running. I get super duper stoked, and of course, when the world leader, the fastest man for 2025, Kishane Thompson, touches the track, yeah, everything drop. So I'm excited. So Kishane Thompson headlines the men's 100 meters, and we're going to dive into my thoughts as it relates to this particular event or meeting with the men's 100 meters. So he actually did compete in this men's 100 meters last year. So he's actually the defending champion for this meeting, and he actually took the win last year, running, a pretty easy 9.91 seconds. And I thought it was very interesting contrasting 2024 to 2025 and what presumably should be your expectations for Kishane in this particular men's 100 meters. Now, for me, I'm dubbing this a warm up, right? I'm dubbing this a warm up. There's no way, shape, or form that Kishane Thompson, is coming into this race with any thoughts or any ideas of harboring a loss, right? So, for me, it's definitely a warm up. We're leading into the Silesia Diamond League that comes up on the 16th, and that's a crazy matchup that we're looking forward to. And I think this will be a warm up for Kishane, right? So the athletes that will be assisting him, I'm pasty, right? Anyway, Kayin Sola. Ajayi, so that is his name, and his personal best is a 9.92 seconds done this season. Then we have Ronnie Baker, a 9.92 again, season's best. He just ran this a few days ago. Actually, was quite impressed with this run. We also did have a Jamaican in the race behind him. That was Raheem Ford, and Raheem, ran a 9.98. So really good run from Ronnie Baker. Ronnie Baker, I believe, is really good at one-off, runs, right? Don't really particularly like him in rounds because he will look good, first round, second round, and then by the time he gets to the finals, everything just blows up in the air. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's a situation where he's not able to manage the pressure, or I don't know if it's a case where he can't manage the rounds. Not sure, but I just know that he flops every single time he gets to the third round, right? And then we have from Jamaica, Ackeem Blake. Looking forward to him. Him so far this season has equaled his personal best, 9.88 seconds. And then, of course, from Hungary, lane filler, I would suppose you could say, Dominic. And then we move on to Ferdinand Omanyala from Kenya. Hasn't really been impressing me so far this season. When you think about other seasons, he would have already clocked a sub, 10 in, his home ground or on his home turf already before coming, to these meetings, overseas. So for him to be at 10 seconds, this close to the world championship still, I'm like, all right, he's not having one of his best seasons. And then, of course, we have Abdul Rashid Saminu, and he's from Ghana. Now, these collegiate athletes are really interesting to me because, of course, you have the Ajayi athlete from Nigeria, and then you have this Abdul Rashid Saminu. And, I'm pretty interested to see how this 100 meters will go for him. When it comes to the collegiate athletes, for me, track is especially when they train in the US, sometimes it's all smoke and mirrors when I think about the performances because, they're running some really ridiculously fast times. You know what I mean? Most of the times assisted by the track slash, conditions. So I'm like, okay, what can we expect from these collegiate athletes, right? Now, for this Abdul Rashid Samino, quite interesting season he's had. I would say he's hovered over 10 seconds, for the majority of the season. However, he has dipped below 10 seconds three times, and all three times he's ran 9.8. Quite interesting. So all the way back in April he ran 9.87 at the Pepsi Florida Relays, right? And then, well, that was done in a positive 2.2 meters per second wind, so not a personal best, but still a really nippy time. And then we fast forward to May, where he, does the first round for the NCAA championships, and he clocks a 9.86 seconds. And then from that 9.86, he on the 19th of July clocked a 9.84. Now, I did look at that 9.84, and I'm not lying to you, trackies. That never looked like 9.84 to me. So I want to see exactly, the kind of performances that this athlete or these collegiates will be laying down, especially as I said, coming in. He has the third fastest time, 9.84 seconds for this particular meeting. Quite impressive. However, I'm thinking that sometimes, it's all fluff, right? So let's see. I love him as an athlete, though, I have to say, really tall, rangy, like his sprinting form as well. So he could come into this meeting and, give us a surprise. You never know. But let's see. Akani Simbine. Okay, him so far earlier on in the season has been really, really impressive. For the most part, has been sub 10 the whole time he has been competing. However, competed in London recently, and not the most impressive performance, I would say, from him, given again how well he has been running all season. So in London, he clocked at 10.11 seconds for 15 that race. Quite interesting. But what I will say is that a number of athletes have as well, have had troubles, entering London. Some of them literally entered last minute to compete in the men's 100 meters. Not sure if he was one of those athletes that were affected, by, that, competition. But 10.11, as I said, for an athlete that was pretty much sub 10 whole season, not sure what is going on with him. I want to see if, it was just a one off instance in this particular race. Not really sure what to expect from him. I do know though that he didn't compete for over a month. So his last competition before the London meeting was literally all the way back in May, right? So maybe it's a little bit of race rust as well. So let's see what happens in this particular outing with him. Right. And then, of course, we move on to Kishane Thompson. As I said, he is the world leader, and I'm going to dive into him a bit more for this particular meeting. And then Rohan Watson as well, our next Jamaican. So we have three Jamaicans. And Rohan Watson so far this season has gone as fast as 10 seconds on the nose. What I do appreciate, though, it is looking like he's getting more consistency overseas when it comes to his performances. Right. So he's hovering a little bit over 10 seconds. I like that improvement. We all know he really shocked, winning the men's 100 meters in 2023, 9.91 seconds at our national championships. But since then has really struggled from a perspective of, competing overseas. Then, of course, Stephen Francis said he doesn't travel well. So I really just look out for more consistent performances year by year from him once he's overseas competing. And I think that's where my mindset is when I think about Rohan Watson. All right, so let's dive into Kishane. As I said, he took the win here last year. So coming in as a defending champion, of course, he's going to be defending that. But what is interesting is that last year, he ran here at this particular meeting a week or so right after the national championships, clocked a easy, as I said, 9.91 seconds for the win. However, the meeting that he took part in a week or so after the national championships was actually in Eugene, Oregon, and he clocked, I believe, a 9.85 there. So, and might I add, when I compare execution as well, the one in Eugene, not sure what happened there, but the last phase of his race, was shot, right? He did say that he's working on something. So for me, this is a warm up. This is a tester to see exactly what he's been working on in training because, now we are roughly 6 weeks, maybe a little less out of the actual world championships. Actually, less than 6 weeks, we're 5 weeks now, practically, right out from the world championships. So now we need to start seeing it coming together. So I want to see what it looks like in this particular race. You know what I mean? I'm expecting it to be faster than what it was last season. Again, given the fact that one, we're not worrying about him just coming off the national championships where again he ran in Eugene. So you're a little tired there. He was probably a little tired, when he went last year as well was only able to go 9.91. This time at Eugene was only able to go 9.85. So when I take these things into consideration, hasn't raced since then. I'm looking forward to seeing what he looks like, the improvement that I'm seeing from a technical perspective, not necessarily times, but from a technical perspective from Kishane Thompson. So I think this is a tester for what will be coming up in Silesia. So definitely think that this is an easy win for him. We may see probably a 9-8 mid again, from him in this particular race. So let's see how it goes. I definitely know he takes the win here. Who takes second? I like the little one-off runs that Ronnie Baker has been giving recently, so I'm having him in the back of my mind. I'm looking out for Ackeem Blake as well, looking out for Rohan Watson, as I said, Kani Simbine, and of course, I think I'm keeping my eye on one of the collegiates, which is the Abdul Rashid young man. I want to see what he does, right? Outside of, those, windy, tracks, or not windy tracks, windy conditions slash great fast tracks, right, happening in the US. What can he do? I'm gonna go Kishane. I'm gonna say Ackeem, gonna say Akani, gonna say Ronnie, gonna say Rohan. Those are my top picks in this men's 100 meters. But as I said, I'm keeping my eyes out for that young collegiate to see exactly if it's all smoke and mirrors. Anyway, trackers, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. So, is this a warm up for you when it comes to Kishane? Let's test out what he's been doing in training. He says when we see it, we will be surprised. I'm like, okay, I can't wait. Anyway, trackers, like the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.